Let's do a show and let's do it live. Welcome to Inside Coverage at 6:30 Eastern Time, live Monday through Thursday, as we are now 8 days away. 8, count them. 8 days away from NFL kickoff 2025. You are watching live on the brand new Yahoo Sports TV, live as a fast channel, free advertising supported television. Go find it or watch us on YouTube or watch us at Yahoo Sports on the traditional website. However you want to watch it, yahoosports.tv, streaming 24/7. And as mentioned, we are here with the how and the why of all the NFL news Monday through Thursday. I don't know if it's something I said or maybe something Frank said, but Jory's not here and Charles is not here. Jory actually has something legitimate this weekend to worry about. Charles, who knows what he's doing? I don't know, Frank, did the Tigers have a matinee today? Yeah, this is just you and me for this ride.
Hey, I love it. I'm excited for this one. Now, I'll tell you, I'm going to tell you this, Andrew. Every day that passes, something gets worse and worse with me, and that is my anticipation for the season. Every day I'm like, is it football today? And it's like, no, we got to wait 8 days. And tomorrow it's going to be even worse. It's going to be, no, we got to wait 7 days. I don't care if the Cowboys get blown out 40-7 by the Eagles. I will be so happy for regular season football back in my life.
I think you do care. I think you are rooting for the Cowboys to get blown out 40-7 by the Eagles. And we do have an update coming up shortly on Micah Parsons. He was seen at DFW today, getting on a plane. Where is Micah Parsons going? There's your deep tease.
Where in the world?
We will get to that coming up shortly. And maybe we'll tell the story about how I once got mad at a certain airline that inhabits DFW, and I ended up with a broken toe. But that will have to wait. In the interim, let's get to the news here that is most pressing, and that is not the game on Thursday of next week, but the game on Friday of next week. The Chargers hosting the Chiefs in Brazil, and that game will not feature Rashee Rice, as finally we have a decision from 345 Park Avenue. Rashee Rice is accepting and will serve a 6-game suspension to open up the 2025 regular season. The NFL and the union, the NFLPA, are working to finalize that settlement and make him eligible to return week number 7. Since good friend of the program, Tom Pelissero, posted this, the league has made it official, and they have announced Rashee Rice is going to miss those first 6 games. And Frank, this brings to an end. It gives us some kind of conclusion. It gives the Chiefs and Rice some kind of clarity. An issue that has been hanging over this team's head now for well over a year. Rice pleaded guilty to multiple felonies here. It was the road racing thing in Dallas in the offseason before last season. There was an accident on a Texas highway. He was seen walking away, and this thing has been adjudicated. But a couple of weeks ago, we found out that the hearing in front of Judge Sue L. Robinson was not going to be until the end of September. And if she took a couple of weeks to figure this out, the suspension, and there was going to be a suspension, could go deep into the season. And there were conspiratorial fans and members of the media and members of the establishment out there, people that think that the Chiefs always get some kind of preferential treatment. That is kind of silly. I am not one of those people that said, this is another example of that. I don't buy all that nonsense, but I do think this is the right thing for any team, for any player. Demarcus Robinson included in San Francisco. We found out his suspension yesterday. Get this stuff done before week 1.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are some good things to this for the Chiefs. There was that report out there that the NFL initially proposed double-digit games for Rashee Rice. And Charles had talked about this, that it wasn't just one thing. It was multiple things that Rashee Rice did foul of the law, including leaving the scene and whatnot. So you understand why it was a heavy, heavy punishment. So I'm sure when the kind of counter, proposal came back at 6 games, 2 things were probably on the Chiefs' mind of, okay, it's not 10, 6, okay, we'll take that. And like you said, it happens right away early in the season. Rashee Rice has enough time to get ramped up for more than enough time to get ramped up for the playoffs. And they kind of know this isn't hanging over their head. They're not, it's going to be week 8, 9, 10. That's weeks 1 through 6. You sit those out. And so those are the good things. But I think a reaction to this, Andrew, and I want to know what you think about this. The reaction was almost, oh, this is a pretty good thing for the Chiefs. And I don't know about that. You're losing Rashee Rice for 6 games. And I get they went 15-2 basically without him last year. But this guy is a key part of their offense, a big time receiver. He was absolutely breaking out over the first 3+ games last year before suffering that knee injury. And you look at the schedule over the first 6 games. They play against the Chargers, who we think can compete with them in the AFC West this year. Then you got the Eagles, you got the Ravens, you got the Lions. Those are 3 games against 3 of the top 5 teams in the NFL. I don't think they're going to lose all 3 games, but it's a lot harder without Rashee Rice in the lineup. And even a game at Jacksonville week 5 is a lot trickier without your number one receiver. So I look at this as, yes, it could have been a lot worse for the Chiefs. Could have been 10 games. It could have been in November and December. We didn't know. But this isn't a good thing either. This is a really big challenge for the Chiefs as they try to win yet another AFC title game.
To answer your question, I don't care, and maybe the Chiefs have a preference. I wouldn't care where the suspension comes as long as I have clarity. There's nothing worse than not knowing. Like, yeah, they could have started the season, and they could have gone to Brazil, and they could have played the Eagles, and then they could have waited till the end of September, and then maybe found the decision out early October. If he's getting suspended 6 games, he's getting suspended 6 games. Now, if you had gone to the hearing, and this is why the negotiation of the 6 games is so vital here, to your point, Frank, it could have been a lot worse. So if they waited until the end of September and then you got the decision mid-October, that decision could have been double-digit games. If that were the case, his season could have been over, like right then and there. Now, do you bring him back for the postseason? Would the extension, rather the suspension, extend into the postseason? Generally, that is not the case. But I think clarity above all else is the most important thing. You now have a roadmap, and then you can handle this accordingly. For people that suggested, and this, look, I'm not talking about whether or not flags get picked up on pass interference or thrown late pass interference against the Bengals in the fourth quarter on 4th down. I'm not talking about that. For those suggesting that, oh, you wanted him, the league needed him in Brazil for a big game. People, are you kidding me?
No,
are you kidding me? It's the Chiefs and Chargers in a standalone
30 million people are going to watch either
to
way.
open the season. The world, quite literally, will be watching. And because it's streaming on YouTube, there will be international distribution. The world will be watching. Nobody, with all due respect to Rashee Rice. And when you say with all due respect, it sounds like you're taking a shot. I'm not. Rashee Rice ain't changing the total viewership week number 1. No, so if that was the nonsense you were selling, like, you're not a serious person. That's just not the case. The Chiefs now have some clarity here. And I think, let me step back here for a second. Every team needs clarity on suspensions because you've had a whole off season for a lot of these. Let's just figure it out and move forward.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right about the clarity, and you're absolutely right. There's no conspiracy here. It was just weird. It was like, really? You can't fit this into your schedule before September 30th? That was kind of odd. I don't know why that exactly was the case, but it's not conspiracy. Nobody, yes, the 345 Park Avenue wasn't sitting there saying, we need Rashee Rice for the, I think it's Amazon Prime, right?
No,
Netflix, I think actually is YouTube. It's YouTube. I can't even get my streaming services.
It's YouTube, correct.
It's YouTube, yeah. Nobody at YouTube was on the phone with NFL saying, we need Rashee Rice. Everybody's going to watch regardless. But where are you at? I want to ask you, because I've kind of felt like a little bit of a Chiefs hater, because I look at that team. I look at the ridiculous ways they won. I look at they were so far over their skis last year, 15-2. And I'm kind of warming up to the idea the Broncos beat them in the AFC West and all that. Am I just a Chiefs hater? Or is this a big thing? Because I look at that schedule of games. Again, let's go through it. Chargers, Eagles, Ravens, Lions, Jaguars. Even at the Giants is not the world's easiest game. You go without Rashee Rice for those 6 games. That ain't easy. I don't think the Chiefs just go 6-0 in those games.
I think the schedule overall is difficult. The division is fantastic. They did lose to the Broncos last year. Oh, by the way, that game was Week 18 at Denver with Carson Wentz at quarterback, where the Chiefs played nobody. Great shot during the quarterback show on Netflix where Joe Burrow is watching Week 18 at home, needing a Carson Wentz victory here, but saying, hey, it's our fault. Like, you can't leave it up to this. They have to go to Buffalo Week 9. They have to go to
Broncos
Dallas.
Twice. Broncos are going to be good
On Thanksgiving.
Good.
Yeah. Look, it is a very, very difficult division. The Chiefs can be a better team this year, and I think drafting Josh Simmons helps that offensive line out immensely.
Absolutely.
I think they stole one there. If he hadn't been injured, he would have been taken higher. They could be a far better team with a far worse record. But I'll say for the 10,000th time, the road to the Super Bowl in the American Football Conference goes through Arrowhead. And it doesn't matter if the Bills beat them week 9 in Orchard Park.
We've seen
they beat them
already.
last year. Yeah. It matters if you can beat this team in January. And I don't see anyone beating them in January right now until you actually do it. I will believe it when I see it. They are not the best team on paper in the NFL, but they have the quarterback that can't be killed. So there's that. Meantime, in Houston, enjoy the conversation with CJ Stroud that we ran yesterday. We talked about Nick Chubb in that conversation because Nick Chubb right now has to be the guy, the number one back, because there is still a lot of uncertainty as to the health and the future of the guy ahead of Nick Chubb on the depth chart, and that is Joe Mixon, who's going to miss at least the first 4 games of the season with some kind of NFI foot and or ankle injury. He's done nothing in the offseason program, was never on the field nor even seen during training camp. Nick Caserio, the Texans GM, like a lot of GMs, had a pre-regular season presser today. D'Amico Ryans on the podium as well, and neither offered any insight as to what the real story is. Ryan's actually got a little defensive, not angry defensive, but like, hey, guys, I'm a player. I'm a player's coach. I know I'm never going to put him out there if he's not ready. He's not ready, and we'll think about it and talk about it in 4 weeks. Well, how'd it happen? Guys, we're not going to talk about it. Doesn't matter. He's not here. So we don't know. We just don't know. We know Nick Chubb is the number one back. We know Dameon Pierce, obviously, a couple of years ago as a rookie, Frank, had some success. We know Woody Marks is a rookie from USC, who in my very deep fantasy league I drafted in like round 18 last night. Not that anyone cares. For the record, nobody cares about your fantasy team. I mean, I care to help. Like, we're here. We love fantasy. We're here to support you. But, like, when you're actually at the water cooler, if you're at the office and someone's going, hey, man, like, oh, my God. Like, if someone just dropped a pass, like, in the fourth quarter, like, hey, cool. Yeah, I got it. Yep. It's like your golf
You're
game.
not having it. I like it. Yeah.
No, but you know what I'm saying? It's
dismissing it out of hand.
Man.
Yeah, nobody wants to hear about your betting bad beats either. Yeah.
Dude. I was going to shoot my best round ever at the Muni. I just had too much club on my approach on 18. Ugh, totally misread the wind. Totally. I flew the green. It's like, what am I doing? I kid. We all want to know about your fantasy team. I drafted Woody Marks. That's all. Anyway, the Texans kind of need a running back. Yeah, or they need to see Nick Chubb 2021.
I don't know that that's a great bet, honestly. And we're all, look, I always preface this. We're all rooting for Nick Chubb. You know Nick Chubb, obviously, a lot better than I do. But even from afar, what Nick Chubb has gone through, the way he's handled himself, the way he's represented the Browns franchise and the NFL as a whole, everybody's rooting for Nick Chubb. He has a 100% approval rating. He's awesome. I don't know that he's necessarily the guy you want to give 25 carries a game to anymore. Like that just probably isn't him. And you get the sense from the Texans of what they're saying about Joe Mixon, what they're not saying about Joe Mixon. There's just some edge of, we're not very happy about this. We're not very happy that Joe Mixon is it's not an injury he got in practice. This is NFI, non-football injury.
NFI, correct.
And that's a big difference because now the team who is really depending on this guy doesn't have him for who knows how long. I have no idea when when Joe Mixon's going to play. It might be November. It might be December. It might not be at all. I have no idea. Talk about fantasy. Do not draft Joe Mixon because I couldn't tell you if he's going to play this year. I couldn't tell you if he's going to play by Thanksgiving or Halloween or anything. It's such a mystery. And now you've left the Texans really in a bad spot. Because again, Nick Chubb, best days are behind him. I don't know if he's got one more moment for the master or anything, but I don't really want my entire running game being Nick Chubb. Woody Mark's more of a pass catching back than anything. He might be good as a rookie. We'll see. Dameon Pierce has had his chances. And yeah, he was pretty good as a rookie, but not since then. And all of a sudden, I've talked about this before with you. You look at the Texans offense and you're like, I love CJ Stroud. By the way, awesome interview with him yesterday. Nico Collins might end up being one of the top 5 receivers in the NFL this year. What else is there? They have a bunch of young guys at receiver.
They got the kids from Iowa State.
Right. Who you can't depend on them right away. You have maybe the worst offensive line in football, and you have a running game that is really beat up with. And by the way, Joe Mixon with his injury, it's not just Joe Mixon's a 23-year-old guy who's going to bounce. He's 29 years old with a ton of NFL miles on him. This is not an easy recovery. So I think it's a bad injury for the Texans, and obviously they're not thrilled with it either.
Yeah. So there's two ways to look at it, and rule number one is don't speculate. I don't know that I'm going to speculate, but I'll just try to connect some dots here. There are organizations that don't like to say a lot about injuries, and Nick Caserio, coming from New England, is certainly, the head guy, the lead guy at one of those organizations. You don't have to say a lot about injuries. There's no weekly injury report. You put the guy on NFI. That's all you got to know. I don't have to tell you anything. However, when it is NFI, meaning non-football injury, Frank, as you just said, meaning it happened away from the building. It happened away from normal football training under the roof there of the Texans. You could say something like, you know what, he was at home and he took a bad step, or he was training and he rolled his ankle, or all kinds of, like, you could say that. To me, it suggests
NFI could be anything.
A is you said they're not that happy about it, or B, there might be a fight over it, like contractually. I don't know that is the case. I don't know, as I like to say. You shouldn't speculate. And then, of course, I speculated. Najee Harris, we know it's a fireworks incident. Not laughing at Najee Harris. That's NFI, right? That's a non-football injury here. The Chargers haven't given a lot of details, but he was actually back on the field today. They've said it was a fireworks thing. They said he's getting there. He's been out there on the field. And, hey, Harbaugh said today there's a possibility for week number 1. All right, there's some details right there. Texans, literally nothing. All right. Do we have time for Anthony Richardson? You want to do this?
Sure.
Should we do Anthony Richardson? Or you want to hold it until later? What do you say, Madison? Talk to me. Let's do it. All right, this is live TV. So Chris Ballard is the Colts GM, and he, like Nick Caserio, had his pre-regular season press conference today. The first time we've heard from the GM since Daniel Jones was named the starter, and the former top 5 pick Anthony Richardson was named the number 2 quarterback. First of all, the headline, Ballard said they are not trading Anthony Richardson, period. They're not going to do it. The cynic would say, well, no one has made a good offer yet. Ballard says they're not going to trade him. He went out of his way today, and I thought this was interesting. He did talk about what Anthony Richardson needed to do to improve, and how this is not going to be a lost season. They still need him. They're going to rely on him, and he's going to grow and develop. But he went out of his way today to frame this, Frank, as a, guys, let's talk about Daniel Jones conversation. Daniel Jones won this job. He's been a pro. He's done a lot of really good things. Instead of saying what's wrong with Anthony, let's say what's right with Daniel Jones. I found that interesting. I don't find it surprising. I think it's the thing to do. You see that all over the place. Guys, let's not talk about why someone didn't win a job. Let's celebrate the guy that did. I have said all along, I think Shane Steichen's a great play caller, and at $14 million, this could be a reclamation project and a fantastic deal here for the Colts. I don't know that they're going to win a lot of games, but Daniel Jones has been in a situation where he did lead the Giants to a road playoff win. But Chris Ballard was on the defense today. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and we can all understand why Chris Ballard doesn't want to talk much about Anthony Richardson right now, the guy he made the 4th pick of the draft, who really has not come anywhere close to that billing. But moving on and look, I get why they won't trade him. Everybody wants every team to trade their backup quarterback. We're 1 injury away from 19,000 think pieces on why Kirk Cousins is going to be traded somewhere. You know what, people? Remember this. NFL teams actually value their backup quarterbacks. That's an important position for them. The Rams aren't just trading Jimmy Garoppolo because somebody else got hurt halfway across the country. They actually like Jimmy Garoppolo and want to use him if Matthew Stafford goes down. Right. It's ridiculous. So, like you said, so somebody came with a great offer for Anthony Richardson. Chris Ballard might be like, yeah, let's get out of this. But they're not. They're going to try to get him for pennies on the dollar. And at that point, the Colts just have to see this thing through. I don't think Daniel Jones is going to start all 17 games. I think we haven't seen the last of Anthony Richardson. We'll see what he does with the opportunity. I'm not on this Daniel Jones reclamation project kick. He did look good in preseason. I'll give him that. He has had flashes in the NFL. This is about the time when Sam Darnold came alive and Baker Mayfield, Geno came along way later after that. Maybe it could happen. There is talent here. He was a top 10 pick for a reason. He does have guys around him. Jonathan Taylor, Josh Downs is awesome. Tyler Warren looks like he's going to have a monster rookie year. I'm just not buying it. I think that this is a tough spot for the Colts to be in. He won the job because he's more consistent. The Colts need to win. Chris Ballard and Shane Steichen need to win games this year, period. Like they are not keeping their jobs if they're not at least in playoff contention. Let's put it that way. Daniel Jones gives them the best chance to win right now for sure. I don't know if it gives them a great chance to win, if that makes sense.
They open at home with the Dolphins. That is a winnable game, and I could just see the scenario here.
You have to win that game.
We're sitting here on Monday morning saying, look, the Colts made the right choice. That said, the way Anthony Richardson is viewed around the league is really interesting. Talking to one personnel exec a couple of days ago, I said, would you think anybody makes a call on Anthony Richardson? And the response was kind of like, why? Like, what has he done that anybody thinks you can fix him? Like, this isn't a developmental league. What are you going to do? Put him on the scout team? I'm like, oh, maybe use him like a goal line package, a red zone. Like, the guy's got ability. And I'm like, yeah, no. Just one person.
Yeah, it's a long road.
Opinion.
It's a long road for Anthony Richardson to make it to a viable.
And I wish him well. Like, I really do like the guy.
I do too, because he's awesome. He's awesome to watch. He's such a physical beast. Yeah.
It's Daniel Jones' team. Coming up on Inside Coverage. Enough of me and Frank. How about Lane Johnson getting into the conversation? We'll ask the future Hall of Famer, the right tackle for the Eagles, does he think Micah Parsons will be lining up across from him 8 days from now? Also coming up, the latest on Micah Parsons and why he was getting on a plane this afternoon. Inside Coverage rolls on. You're watching Inside Coverage. My name is Andrew Siciliano. Frank Schwab. Can't even get names right. It's that kind of day. With me as well, who'll be back in a couple of seconds. We're 8 days away. 8, count them, from NFL kickoff 2025. The Philadelphia Eagles opening their defense of their Super Bowl championship against NFC East rival, the Dallas Cowboys. A couple of days ago, actually, yesterday, was able to talk to the Eagles' future Hall of Famer on their offensive line. He is a 2-time Super Bowl champion. He's been an All-Pro. He's also number 23 on the top 100. He will get a gold jacket. I'm going to assume one day we'll just put Lane Johnson in there now, but that's a few years away. The Eagles' right tackle joins us. Lane, it's good to see you, man. How are you?
Thanks for having me. We had a little fishing trip with O-line this weekend, and then back to work tomorrow. So
back to work for USAA as well. Lane is here on behalf of USAA. We'll get to that in a second. Lane, you are entering year 13. You're now the longest tenured Eagle. Unpack that for me. How does that feel?
Yeah, it's one of those things when you get into the NFL, a 10-year goal is kind of what everybody pictures. But, yeah, man, it goes by fast. It's crazy. The landscape changes and all my new teammates. So a lot of new ones, a lot of old ones.
I would have to think that entering year 13 or entering year 1, for that matter, after a training camp where it felt like it was 100 degrees every day with the humidity in Philadelphia, that a fishing trip is good. How much of a grind is training camp, Lane, at year 13?
Yeah, some days are better than others, but, I felt like we, had a pretty good training camp as far as weather was concerned. There's a few days, probably 3 or 4 that was really, felt like it was in Tampa. But other than that, pretty smooth. So, yeah, I've definitely had worse.
I mean, after a couple of days, though, did you say, like, why am I doing this?
Yeah, about the second week, there about 3 days in a row. I'm like, why am I here? And then I was like, oh, yeah. I had to lock back in.
Yeah, I mean, you're here. You're here to win another ring. And I was there the day the Browns were there with Landon Dickerson bringing the beers out. I know that made all the headlines, but he's also tried to keep it loose in other ways. Lane, did Landon bring adult coloring books to the O-line room? What's up with that?
Yeah, he bought from CVS like 100 animals.
Yeah.
So we colored some seahorses, some lions, monkeys. We got a few. We're not done yet, so we're in the very early stages of the coloring book. So hopefully we'll have it done by the end of the year.
who is the best at coloring in the O-line room?
Well, it's just us two. I'd say Landon's better with his colors. So he does a lot better display than what I have. So, but maybe I can change that in a few months.
He stays inside the lines better. Is that it?
Yeah, he stays inside the line. He's just his color pattern is more I don't know, more choreographed, I guess.
Also, a fun part of training camp, and I know Jordan Mailata kind of went viral with his comments about Myles Garrett, who is generally lined up on that side, but at times, especially day one, when you were out there in the 2-day practice, he lined up against you. What was that battle like for you?
You better get off the ball or you're going to have a bad rep. So, yeah, for me, when you have a guy of that caliber, you really have to be detailed in your set lines. Like anything you do that's out of the ordinary or wrong, a bad step, he can get you. So, yeah, it's pretty much a stalemate the times he went over there to the right. But, yeah, man, he's so quick. I think the thing about him is just how low he stays at the point of attack. And being somebody that big, it's like usually a guy that's 240 pounds can do that, but somebody that's 270, whatever he weighs, it's unbelievable. Like it'll be a long time before you see another guy like that.
Yeah, the way the guy bends and gets low and then comes out of that,
Yes,
pops up.
unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. Let's talk about the season here. Lane, Nick Sirianni evidently is not using the word repeat, which is fine. Like we've heard that before from coaches. What then is his, other than bringing in NBA guys, which I know you're not a fan of, what then is his motivational edge here to remind you guys that last year doesn't matter?
Yeah, I mean, he just does. Our main message is, being tough, detailed, and together. But I think what he does is try to remind us of why we were successful last year and the things that we worked on. So, protecting the football, taking away the football. So we're really big on that in every meeting. We usually start a meeting with ball security, or a strip attempt by the defense. So, I think that is something we do really good. And then I just think, yeah, he just constantly about why we were successful. So making sure that our habits stay consistent and don't let success, change any of that. So remember how we got there and the road that it took. And it's, you have your ups and downs during the season, but it's a marathon. It's such a long season. So just take it one game at a time.
We're talking to Lane Johnson here. One of the reasons clearly you were successful is that you guys, ran the ball like no one had ever seen. And the Eagles hadn't run the ball like that in 46 years. Saquon had 2000. Obviously, how it went. But teams have a year of film. Not that this was unique last year. And teams have been trying to find a way. They're in the lab to try to slow that down. Is running the ball as much as you did sustainable, or do you guys have to adapt?
We're going to have to adapt. It's a thing where, like you said, once the NFL has a full off season on you, they're going to find different ways and wrinkles to attack you. So that's something that we got to be ready for early and often. Disguises, a lot of teams doing last minute shifts before the ball snapped to try to throw off points. So as far as lining up and just playing a traditional 4-down front, there'll be some teams to do it, but I expect a lot of filling the box, trying to make us force to throw the football. But we're capable that way too. But last year was a lot of fun when you have a running back that can do what he can do like that on the ground. It makes the pass rush that much easier. The play action kind of tied in that, and so it's really much different offense than I've been accustomed to throughout my career.
I know he jumped over a dude against the Jaguars, but what's the craziest thing you ever saw him do in practice? I know he's not jumping over people in practice.
Well, it was more like his runs were exceptional, but it was when he lined up at slot receiver a few times early on when he first got to the team and ran a few routes. I was like, yeah, that's crazy. So just, being able to split out wide and be able to catch the ball like a receiver, just at that size and the balance and all that. It's just, yeah, man, he's one of the freaks of the NFL.
A couple of quick fun things. Micah Parsons on the top 100, and you're 23 again, said that he's looking forward to the day when you retire, which you've intimated, could be in a year if you guys win it again. Are you looking forward to Micah potentially holding out week 1 in 2 weeks, in next week, rather?
Man, I don't know. There's a quote by one of my old coaches, or name is Dave Tipp. I guess he's with Detroit now, but his quote was, "Expect their best and be disappointed if they don't bring it." So, as far as I'm concerned, I'm pretty sure he'll be out there week 1. But yeah, man, anytime you go against a guy like that, he has your full attention. Like I said, when you go against caliber of players like that, any bad set or late off the ball, those guys can expose you. So obviously a lot of respect for him, but how contract disputes go. Sometimes they can be battle tested, and so that's what we're seeing now.
All right, last football thing here. In 2021, you caught a touchdown. The play call was East Texas. For those who don't know, you were in East Texas at a small school playing quarterback at one point before you got to Oklahoma, before you got to the NFL. Lane, you can throw the ball. There are ways you can go in there, be the extra tight end, rub your belly. You can throw the ball. Are we going to get to see that before you hang it up?
Maybe in practice. I doubt that we see it in the game, but I would love that. I would definitely love that, but I would need a heads up. I usually heavily tape my hands, so if I could get my thumb a little bit of room, I could definitely love to throw one. So maybe we'll see. I'll talk to coach.
You ever lobbied for it or no?
Oh, I've lobbied for it, yeah, but there's better plays.
Lane Johnson teaming up with USAA, the official NFL Salutes a Service partner, and Team Whistle here as we get ready for a new campaign as the Eagles try to win yet another Super Bowl. Just don't call it trying to repeat. Lane, we appreciate your time. Hope you caught some fish, and good luck not only next week, but all throughout this 2025 season.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. And week 1 is approaching. So
yes, sir.
Looking forward to it.
And we're as well. Lane Johnson looking forward to it. Now we're back live on Inside Coverage. That's Frank Schwab. I'm Andrew Siciliano wearing a different blue polo shirt, if you didn't realize. Good stuff there with Lane.
I like
Lane.
Lane is awesome, by the way. Lane, if you're talking awesome. About the greatest active lineman, it's either him or Trent Williams, right? Like Lane Johnson's walking into the Hall of Fame.
Oh, that's one of those conversation.
You don't even need to debate. He
different position.
Lane is fantastic. Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, one's a right tackle, one's a left tackle.
Yes, but both are just so dominant and so great at what they do that I have ultimate respect for Lane Johnson as a player. And you can see it whenever he's out of the lineup, the Eagles just aren't the same team. And how many linemen can you say that about?
They're both going to go to Canton. We could further that. I didn't think that's a good one, Frank. We can go down that road. Who are the best active linemen at their respective positions? I'm going to go Joel Bitonio at left guard. And then the other two I'd have to think about. But while we think about that, I think that, the news from that interview with Lane is that he does expect Micah Parsons to play week 1. And I think that most everyone, even though they don't know how we're going to get there in 8 days, think that Micah Parsons is going to play week 1. I do find it notable that Micah Parsons was at DFW today, at the airport in Dallas, and this was an image somebody put on Twitter of Micah boarding a plane. My friend and former colleague at NFL Network, Jane Slater, added to this photo and said that she's reporting Micah was going to get a second opinion on his back. Remember yesterday, Brian Schottenheimer said that after an hour-long conversation with Micah about his behavior and everything he did last Friday on the sideline, that the organization believes that he is healthy enough to practice. Yet here he is 8 days away. I'm not going to say this is posturing or a leverage play at this point. He's flying off to get a second opinion on a back injury that is the reason they're using, right? We all know he's holding in, but it's with a back injury. This does not bode well.
And as Charles said yesterday on the show, when they start talking about, he's healthy enough to practice, that might be a leverage thing where all of a sudden we get to, week 2, week 3, and they're saying, well, you're healthy enough to play. Well, now Micah, the counter move to that is, I went and got a second opinion on my back. It's bad. I'm not making this up. So it is just
I've got to know from the doctor.
We've gotten we have gotten to silly season with Micah Parsons because, I mean, John Kuhn says something today, the former Packers fullback. I just think he threw out like Micah Parsons' name on Twitter. I had texts from many of my Packers fans, friends. Obviously, I'm from Wisconsin originally. Hey, is Micah Parsons coming to the Packers? Micah Parsons. I'm like, probably not. It's probably not. And then he shows up at the airport, and there's a bunch of it's going to get sillier before it gets more rational and calm with this whole situation involving Micah Parsons.
Yeah, and look, it actually, there was a domino effect there. Brian Gutekunst was also the Packers GM, was on the podium today in Green Bay doing his annual right before the season presser, and he was asked, because you can't ask about a player on another team, especially a holdout player on another team or hold in. I mean, that is absolutely taboo. And
that's Collusion City.
Whoever asked the question, yeah, and I don't know who asked the question.
Tampering City, sorry, not to Collusion City. Collusion.
Yeah, it is Collusion and Tampering City. Tampering City.
Like
the reporter, and again, don't know who it was. I was listening to the presser. Said, "Hey, Goody, I'm going to apologize in advance for asking this. I don't often do that. I know that's quite a setup, but I'm going to apologize in advance." And then kind of went down the like, "Hey, philosophically, when you're thinking of making a big move or a major acquisition, what goes into it and what's the process organizationally?" And he was like, "You know where I'm going with this, because you know where what all our fans are talking about today. Like, let's not fool each other. So what can you say?" And he's like, "Well, obviously, I can't talk about other teams' players, but you know, he did say something interesting. He said, like, we made some waiver wire claims today, or waiver wire practice squad moves. I might find those to be really big swings. It's all about how you look at things philosophically, because we have to get rid of a guy to bring in a guy." It's like, but I know where you're going. And listen, we talk all the time about improving the team, and he didn't give an answer. But let's go back to what we've talked about in the past. Trading for Micah Parsons or any other player holding in, like Jawan Jennings, who's not really holding in, according to John Lynch. You need to pay the guy right now. I just can't see the Cowboys, A, trading, and B, doing it within the division. I'm not in the division, within the conference. And then getting draft picks that can't help them now. If you're going to trade him, you should have traded him months ago. That ship sailed.
I think so. I mean, we were talking about this before we started filming, and John Lynch comes out today and says, "Oh, it's not just the hole in. He's got a calf issue." And I looked at that so sideways. For Juwan Jennings, I'm sorry. John Lynch said this on the podium in his preseason presser. I looked at that sideways and said, "I remember last year about this time," and a lot of people remember too, when you said Christian McCaffrey was no big deal. Okay, like, you've lost all benefit of the doubt on whether we're going to talk about what's going on with Juwan Jennings or what's not going on with Juwan Jennings, because we don't know. We just have no idea what's going on. It's one of the weirder situations going on in the NFL right now, Andrew, because he might be hurt. He might just be not even holding in. He's not there. I mean, he wants a new contract. Lynch should acknowledge that he's asked for a trade, but we quote unquote move beyond that, is what John said. All I know is the San Francisco 49ers are really, really thin going into the season if Juwan Jennings can't answer the bell. I mean, Demarcus Robinson, who we talked about, he's suspended, and we got all of their running backs were so banged up they had to go get Brian Robinson, except Christian McCaffrey. He's the only healthy one, weirdly enough. So, yes, this whole situation with Juwan Jennings has been so weird because there's just no real answers. And honestly, at this point, I don't trust what the 49ers have to say about him.
So what John Lynch said today is that, yes, Juwan Jennings had asked for a trade, but that was a while ago, and they're not going to trade him. That ship sailed. Second time I've used that in this segment. And both are true, he said. Both can be true. He wanted to get traded, and he has a calf injury. Like, both are true. Like, there's no funny business going on here. The calf injury, they're not denying the injury, just saying that he's not holding in. But there is a mystery here, much like the injury to Joe Mixon in Houston, although that we truly know nothing. We don't know anything here. Yep. He wants a new contract, and he's got a hurt calf. It's a calf and a contract. I'll take a calf and a contract and a bottle of anything, please, to go. back to Micah real quick. There's also an issue of a grievance. Like, is he a defensive end or is he a linebacker? He's not the first edge player. Like, my dad came up to me a couple of years ago, they created this new position. What is edge? What is edge? Like, Dad, it's 3-4-4-3. Like, we can call guys a linebacker, a defensive end. Depends on the system. Some guys do both. Some guys drop in coverage. I mean, it's like, they didn't have that when I was a kid. I'm like, Dad, the nose tackle was called the middle guard when you were a kid.
Right.
But I digress.
Lawrence Taylor was an edge. So, we just didn't call him that. Yeah.
Right. So Micah, there's a difference in what the fifth-year option should be. Parsons wants a fifth-year option at 21. The Cowboys have it at 21. Micah says he's a linebacker. The Cowboys say on their depth chart that he is a defensive end. When he was Rookie of the Year, he was listed as a linebacker. So there's that grievance. I don't know that this truly factors in the final conversation, although it could, because when you do these extensions off rookie deals and you're buying back franchise tags, you do take into account, if you're the agent, how much that franchise tag would cost. And you bake that into the total guarantee that you're asking for. So if franchise number is like $3 million lower, well, that makes a difference. Because the agent's going to say, no, we're the higher number, right? We're the more expensive tag. I don't know that is a factor here. Like I said, this thing has gotten acrimonious and personal, and we are 8 days away. At this, what time is it? It is 7:30, 7:12 in the East. The Dallas Cowboys at this hour, a week from now, will likely be checking in to their Philadelphia hotel. Okay? Whether or not it's with Micah Parsons remains to be seen. I'm going to guess that even without a contract, he's on a plane. Or maybe not. Maybe it's leverage because they do have airplanes that fly between two major hubs there for American Airlines in Dallas and Philadelphia. And we'll save for another time the story of me breaking my toe because I got angry at an airline at DFW. Coming up next on Inside Coverage, what Terry McLaurin had to say just moments ago on the podium at Ashburn, and how Kyle Hamilton got paid, because it's a fantastic number. That's Frank. I'm Andrew. Don't go anywhere. It's Inside Coverage. We're live at 6:30 Eastern Time every Monday through Thursday, yahoosports.tv, or on the YouTubes, however you're watching, or maybe you're listening to the podcast after the fact. Be sure to like and subscribe and share and do all those podcast things because we love you as well. That is Frank Schwab. My name is Andrew Siciliano. Jory Epstein has something pretty significant this weekend. She's not here. Charles Robinson is off doing who knows what, but they are back soon. Fear not. In the interim, it's just me and Frank talking about Terry McLaurin, who got paid a couple of days ago. We are happy for Terry McLaurin. Now, when we look at the contract, as we all kind of said, it's not really a $96 million deal. It's more like a $44 million deal on the guarantee. But hey, I'm happy for Terry. He deserves it. And Frank, watching Terry McLaurin's press conference late this afternoon, I'm not saying he got emotional. He was gonna cry. But there was that moment where, and he's as sincere a guy as you've ever met in this league, you could tell that it kind of got to him, telling the story of how his teammates in the weight room gave him this massive ovation when the news broke. He knew the deal was done, but hadn't really told anybody. And then he walked into the weight room and the word had just spread. They had just seen it on the X or the Twitter, on the wherever, maybe on Threads or Blue Sky. And they gave him this massive ovation. And that's what he said really got him. Loves the fans, loves the organization. Business is business, but the support in the locker room, the support from his now second-year quarterback, Jaden Daniels, that's what it's all about. I am thrilled for the guy. And he also pushed back against this idea that he at 30 can no longer play or that the end is near. He said, I took a 60-yard screen for a touchdown back in January. And if you look at the analytics, how I didn't get a massive play count, especially early, snap count early in my career at Ohio State, right? I have a lot of tread left on this tire, and I'm willing to believe him. As Charles said last week, and I think this sums it up the best way, he may not be the best number one of the NFL, but he's your number one, and they need him as much as he wanted that contract.
Yeah, I really don't have much doubt that Terry McLaurin's got 2, 3 good years left in him. And I wouldn't
Yeah.
say that about all 30-year-old receivers. I think that this is a good investment by Washington. And the story you told about his teammates giving him the ovation in the weight room, that's why Washington had to sign him. Because he's
Yeah.
so beloved, he's so respected, he's a captain on that team. And not just by his teammates, but by the fan base. But every single box you could check on why should we re-sign Terry McLaurin, they checked it. You had to re-sign that guy. And now what are we talking about? Terry McLaurin's up there smiling. He's saying, I got everything I wanted when he was asked, is this what you wanted? Like, is it? Yep, it is exactly what I wanted. The Commanders can go into the season with just good vibes, feeling good. This stuff all gets forgotten immediately. All the acrimony, all the hard times when you take that smiling picture and post it to social media of a guy signing a contract, everything's forgotten. Business is business. Terry McLaurin's back in the locker room, and the Commanders can go about their business of trying to repeat what they did last year: 12 wins, playoffs, a really deep push in the playoffs. Happy for everybody involved here, especially Terry McLaurin, who just sums up what it's like to be a professional.
Absolutely. And the Commanders open up. I'm pulling up my schedule here. Apologies. Live Googling
Giants.
here. The Commanders open up week 1 against the Giants. So one of those divisional matchups, NFC East, as I used to call it, the glamour division. Maybe not as much glamour and glitz as it used to have, but certainly when it comes to TVs in the Northeast Corridor, everyone in the league and the networks love them some NFC East, and the Commanders getting back to being primetime eligible and actually a team that people want to tune in to see around the nation. That's only good for the NFL. Week 2, short turnaround in a short week for the Commanders as they go to Lambeau, which is the opening official Prime Video TNF game. Sign me up for that one. So there's the
football, Andrew. You're getting me fired up here. I'm thinking about Washington at Green Bay now. Come on, let's go.
Yes. Right up the road, although not necessarily right up the road from Ashburn where McLaurin had his presser. You would have to take the toll road to the Beltway up to 95, which even at 720 right now would be an utter disaster. But up the road, if you eventually got to Owings Mills, you would find Kyle Hamilton, another one of my favorite people who did get a massive deal with a bigger guarantee. The initial numbers have it 4 years, 100 with 82 guaranteed for as good a safety as there is in the NFL. And another example of one of those guys, and Eric DeCosta and Howie Roseman in Baltimore and Philly always get the praise for this, like just staying true to your board, not moving up, sitting there, and then finding a great player that somehow fell to you. And that's what Kyle Hamilton is. He is, I don't want to say as unique a player because that's kind of bad English, but he's special playing safety. He's up in the box, and they probably want to do that even more with him this year, but he could play deep safety as well. Kevin Stefanski described him 2 years ago, and I love this, Frank. It's Wemby playing nickel. He's so long, talking Victor Wembanyama with the Spurs. He is so long and such a differently shaped safety, an exceedingly bright player as well. You know, he could be the green dot on your defense at safety. He's worth every penny.
Oh, one of the best players in the NFL. And remember draft day, the lead up to the draft, what was it? Oh, Kyle Hamilton's a good player, but the 40 time and this and that. And that may be why he dropped a little bit. The Ravens, a very smart organization, was like, that guy's a ball player. We're taking him. And he has been awesome for them. Look, even last year, midway through the season, they weren't very good on defense. They were actually pretty bad on defense. Did a few schematic changes, move Kyle Hamilton back. They were just like, he's our chess piece. We'll move him back, play a little more deep safety. It became one of the best defenses in the league for the last 2+ months of the season. That's what you have with Kyle Hamilton. You know anything you want. And yes, this year, probably back up near the box a lot more because they got Malachi Starks as their first-round pick.
Exactly.
I love Kyle Hamilton, and I'll give you a little spoiler. We're asked to do our season predictions for Yahoo. Send them into our editor, Joey Galino. One of them was Defensive Player of the Year. I picked Kyle Hamilton. I think Kyle Hamilton can win Rookie of the Year on a Defensive Player of the Year. I'm sorry, not Rookie of the Year. Defensive Player of the Year on a very, very good Ravens team. I know it's hard to beat the pass rushers out there, but I think Kyle Hamilton's that kind of a player where he's going to get a lot of attention this year as being the linchpin of a really, really good Ravens defense.
All right, so now you got me down a research rabbit hole. Last year, it was Patrick Surtain as DPOY in Denver at corner. Has there ever been, or when was the last time we had consecutive DPOYs?
It's
as
been a
defensive
while.
backs?
And I mean, I think the last true safety to win was Palomalu, which is a long time ago. It was Woodson before that, but it's rare for DBs to win it. But that's just the respect I have for Kyle Hamilton as a player, that I think he can win defensive player. I truly believe he can win defensive player of the year. He's everything for that Ravens defense, and what a draft pick that was for them. And he's earned every penny. Being the highest paid DB of all time, yes, he's earned it all.
Also, two last things on the Ravens. Number one, Eric DeCosta did not add any insight to a possible extension for Lamar Jackson, insight as to where they are in the process. He says we like to work in the dark here. So maybe, just maybe, there's one of those looming as well. And also, if you go to BaltimoreRavens.com, they had a really cool video of DeCosta bringing undrafted rookies in, 3 of them in particular, to his office, not to cut them, but to tell them they made the team. Cool. He's not the only GM that does this. However, thought it was pretty cool because normally when you get called into the GM's office on cutdown day, you're getting cut. And so you see these guys walk in and DeCosta like has their jersey and he gives them a hug and they break down. It's awesome, awesome video. Spoke to Andre Schmidt, the Browns' new kicker, yesterday, Frank, and he told me that he found out they made the team because the Browns had to get on the practice field an hour before the deadline, 3 o'clock, had a 4 o'clock. And he said he's in his locker, like getting dressed. I'm like, am I going out there for practice? Like, I'm going out there for practice. Here we go. And then when he got out there, the GM was out there to basically say, hey, congrats, man, you made the team. So pretty cool moment how all these teams do it. Check out BaltimoreRavens.com for that video. And then also a cool moment on the InstaFace today with Adam Thielen and his little daughter we're going home. And home is Minnesota. Thielen grew up in Minneapolis. He's a great story of a guy that made the team as a local rookie mini camp invitee. And now, after 2 years in Carolina, he is traded back to Minnesota. The Vikings are going to, or the Panthers rather, going to eat some of the contract here. But the Panthers get a 2026 5th-round pick and a 2027 4th-round pick. The Vikings get a conditional 7th next year, a 5 in 27, and the Panthers eat some of the money. I mean, look, you're rearranging late-round deck chairs here. The good news is that with Jordan Addison suspended and with Justin Jefferson nursing a hammy, the Vikings get Adam Thielen back. This, to me, is a win-win.
Yeah, it really is. Although I will say I was surprised at the price, honestly, because you think the 5ths cancel each other out, and then it's basically a 4th with a 7th going back.
Yeah.
4th-round pick for Adam Thielen at age 34 is steep, but like you said, Panthers picked up some of the money. That helped probably push that up a little bit. And the Vikings should be in win-now mode, and obviously Justin Jefferson's maybe the best receiver on the planet. Jordan Addison, he's going to miss 3 games, but he's really good. But during those 3 games, you got to cover that, and you need some depth too. And I think Adam Thielen is such a pro, and we saw last year he's still got a lot left. He's still enough that he could be a viable receiver for the Vikings this year. They're not asking him to be what he was 3-4 years ago when he was a true star, a true top 20 receiver. Be there, be a great veteran, awesome feel-good story. And fill in for 3 games when Jordan Addison's not there. When he returns, be a great number 3 option in the offense. I really like the move for the Vikings. I thought they paid a lot, but I really like the move.
Yeah, and the Panthers love Coker. They love McMillan. They have some young pieces, and their wide receiver room is actually a little more crowded than people would think. That said, Thielen's been huge for them the last 2 years and a security blanket for Bryce Young, so taking him out of that room, I do think has its downside, but you're getting a 4 for an older player. Now, here's what the rest of the league is watching with Daniel Jones. Can I tie all this together, the start of the show and the end of the show in our final 45 seconds? If Daniel Jones gets a big contract somewhere else, the Vikings are going to get a compensatory 4, potentially, here. So that could be the 4 that covers the Thielen trade. That's the little sidebar to Daniel Jones here with the Colts. They could get a 3 and a 4 for losing Darnold and Daniel Jones. Potentially. All right. Thanks to Lane Johnson. Thanks to you, Frank, for dealing with me. And that's it. That's another inside coverage. Remember, yahoosports.tv, Monday through Thursday. We are here at 6:30 Eastern Time. My name is Andrew Siciliano. So long, everybody, and thanks for watching.